Flyers and Leafs post-game show, and the Flyers fall to the Leafs. They get shut out in this game, 3-0. Second time they've been shut out. Final road trip in Western Canada, 4-0 against the Calgary Flames. They get shut out here by another Canadian team tonight. It's the Leafs, and the Flyers fell an opportunity here to grab a couple of points. The Leafs winner of 5 of their last 6. They've been playing well. But the Flyers I just didn't see a situation where they made life difficult enough on Jack Campbell. We talked about it probably between the second and third period, but they needed to get him off his mark, get him on, looking around bodies to track pucks, and it just never happened in this game. And my big concern was that the team was having to work too hard to score, and that turned out to be, unfortunately, prophetic.
Yeah, pretty much. And that big term puck luck is something that people throw around, and it's something that you struggle sometimes to describe, but you know it when you see it, or rather don't see it. And that was one factor that, and you got to give credit to the Leafs, because good defense can kind of prevent a puck luck from happening, and that's kind of what I thought the Flyers saw. I mean, they outshot the Leafs 36-33, but when those shots got in there, Jack Campbell, you got to give him some credit, played, I think, every single one of them perfectly, just about. And the times that the puck did get away from him, there was not a Flyers stick within reach. Either they were being canceled out from the other side, or they just weren't in the right place at the right time. And that's kind of, to me, the story of the game. The Kasha goal at the end is kind of inconsequential to me. The Leafs got that first lucky goal, and it kind of felt like whoever got that first lucky goal was going to be able to ride it to something tonight. And I think that's what we saw. We talked about it earlier, that this team is really either usually really, really good or really, really bad. I was talking to some folks upstairs on the way back down here that saw the Leafs play Los Angeles when they were really bad.
That was our last game.
Yeah, that team comes in here, and it's a different story tonight. But tonight the Flyers got the good Toronto team, and unfortunately it results in what we had tonight.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the Flyers outshoot the Leafs in the game 36-33. Something I've harped on a ton is that it's not about the quantity of shots, it's about the quality. And I think when you break this game down and you look at the 36 shots by the Flyers and the 33 by the Leafs, and if you were to measure that on quality of chances, I would say the Leafs probably 2-1 had the more quality of the chances to the Flyers' chances in this game.
Right, and when they got the chances, they were obviously able to take advantage of them. The special teams right now for the Flyers are not going the way they wanted to. They needed to. The power play finally did get set up there in the third period, and had some quality chances.
Why though?
Exactly.
Yandel and JVR were back on the top unit,
and that's maybe that's what they need to have. But the penalty kill in this particular game for me, just they got a little scrambly, I think, is what happened. And on the goal, on the Nylander goal, and they lost track of him. And again, the third goal was not a power play goal, but it was a setup on the power play. It was 7 seconds after it ended, and the same sort of thing. Kasha was able to back away from the Flyers' defense and create some space, and they didn't see him. So those are the things that you got to take away from this as something that you want to work on, something that you want to correct. And again, it's. I don't think the Flyers did a lot wrong in this game. I credit this game more to the Maple Leafs doing a lot of stuff right. But, again, you've got to come up with ways to score some goals when things aren't going your way on a given night.
Yeah, and when the power play is struggling, the Leafs went on the PK 4 times in this game. The Flyers went on the PK 3 times, but they go 0 for 4 on the man advantage, and that's probably the biggest thing. And like you said, in the first couple years, the power play was pretty scrappy and pretty not appealing to look at.
Right.
And in the third period, they had the power play, and they had a good opportunity, and they had some good pressure, some good opportunities, but ultimately not able to get anything by Jack Campbell. And then you look at, at the other end, and I see on my timeline on Twitter that some people are saying, Hart wasn't good in this game. Let's go through the highlight reel here, or lowlights as it were, in this game, and I want to see where Hart gave up a goal that was preventable, okay? That's what I want. That's what I want to see. So let's get to the BetRivers.com highlight reel. It's 11-11 in the second period. We talked about this one for the last intermission, and you alluded to it a minute ago. Second period, 11-11. It's William Nylander on a goal that was originally waved off, but then waved back on for his 6th goal of the season.
The line, Matthews sends it ahead. Muzzin moves it in front. The bouncing puck, they score. What a play by William Nylander to knock that out of midair. And William Nylander gets his 6th goal of the year to make it 1-0 Toronto.
Yeah, just what unfortuitous bounce for Carter Hart and the Flyers off the toe. Like it's like a steel-toed boot.
Yeah, Kevlar, right?
Yeah,
it's probably worse.
Yeah,
and that is the kind of thing. That's why hockey is. It's such a unique sport, and it's terrific when it goes your way, and it's maddening when it doesn't. You see a kind of a broken play like that, and it ends up in the back of your net, and you're in a situation where. It's a very tight game, and that might be the difference. That's the kind of thing that's just a little frustrating at times. Now, they did respond well to it, but unfortunately, they couldn't convert it into an equalizer.
Yeah, and that's when you grab that momentum. You got to have something to show for it. They didn't. Muzzin and Austin Matthews pick up the assist. William Nylander's 6th of the season. He's been on a tear lately. I think that was 5 goals and 4 assists in his point streak, and he's really been playing well. And we pick it up in the third period at 5:09. This time the Leafs on the power play, and Nylander again picks up his 2nd of the game, 7th of the season on the man advantage.
Riley skates to the middle. Over to the left circle. Nylander out in front. A shot. Carter Hart able to make that save on Nick Ritchie from the bumper spot. So Ritchie was a net front there. Now in front, here's Nylander with a shot. He scores his 2nd goal of the game. And the 16th in a row by Toronto's Core 4. It's 2-0 Leafs.
The Core 4 getting it done again as Nylander on the power play. So we determined the first goal that Nylander scored off the toe. Mm-hmm. That's not a preventable goal by a goaltender. It's got to hit you in that situation. Now that goal, they literally, in that situation, there's a save and a scramble right in front prior to that Carter fights off with his left shoulder on his glove hand side.
Right.
And then there's a little bit of over pursuit, and Nylander ends up wide open below the top of the circle, all the time in the world to absolutely wire when he beats him blocker, the mid-blocker side. Okay, so it's a clear-sighted shot, okay. Sometimes your goalie will come up with a save there and rob him. It's a great shot. I don't know what else you can do when the guy's left that open from that spot.
Especially, from that spot. That's the key to me, is that there's no time there to react when, I know you have a clear view of it, but, he was, 8 feet off maybe, if not less than that.
He's just above the dot.
Yeah, and, you're kind of at, as a goaltender, you're kind of at the mercy of just, where's that puck going to go? And he put it in a perfect spot. And if he's shooting that, if it's a slightly different circumstance and he's shooting that glove side, I think Carter gets it.
Yeah.
But when you've got that type of proximity on a shooter like Nylander, and
who's feeling it?
and he ends up going high blocker on you. I mean, I can't fault him there at all.
All right, let's go to the goal in the third period at 13:33. This rounds out the scoring in the game when Ondrej Kase picks up his 2nd of the season.
Kerfoot swings in behind the net, centering out in front, and they score. Into the high slot, it's Ondrej Kase, a guy that doesn't get a lot of goals. This is just his 2nd of the year, and the Leafs take a 3-0 lead.
On a one-time bomb from the middle, right in a high-danger scoring area. And I just don't know what the goalie's supposed to do there.
Yeah, I mean...
So look at the hot takes about the goaltending. I know there's 3 goals they gave up. They didn't score any, but, I mean, look at the plays. The team wasn't good enough tonight.
Right.
All right? Let's just be really honest here for a minute. The team was not good enough tonight. They didn't put enough traffic in front of Jack Campbell. They didn't make his life nearly enough. They did that to the Flyers. But let's stop the tired rhetoric of just blaming the goalie every time.
It's a little tradition, isn't it?
I mean, Jesus, come on. It's like irking me.
He got the number 3 star tonight.
I know I'm a goalie honk, right? And I'm part of the union and blah, blah, blah. But, gee, I don't find a goal in there that I'm going, boy, Carter really screwed up on that one. Can we evolve past that and look at it for what it is?
I think you need to take a Twitter break.
Oh, right. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, he's there over 4 minutes and I'm blowing up.
Yeah, and when I look at that third goal, the other thing that to me on that third goal was that how deep that puck started in the corner. He is turned almost 90 degrees to his left, and then that puck comes out about 110 degrees to his right. Yeah. And you've got to turn and bang, and it is what it is. And again, that goal tonight, that's inconsequential to me. The Flyers, the way this game was going, they weren't going to come back from.
It was determined.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried about that one. But again, to me, I feel like this game was a lot about what Toronto did right as opposed to what the Flyers did wrong. I think some of the execution that the Flyers had tonight, needed to be a little bit more, create a little bit more pressure with it. I wasn't thrilled with some of the decision making from the point on the power plays. Just some of the places that those pucks got put in certain points in the game when they really needed a power play goal to get back into it. But overall, I am giving the Leafs a lot of credit on this win tonight than I am going against the Flyers for what they might have done.
Yeah, and look, I thought that the Leafs played a very good detailed game, and leave it to Pat Egan, our producer. He says, please tweet at Jason Martin, let him know Carter Hart lost the Flyers today. See, Pat, that's not helping me
He's
right now.
He's poking the bear.
Yes, he is. He loves to do that. He has a PhD in poking whatever bears around him. But good on you, Pat, for doing it. The other thing with the game tonight, this was not Keith Yandel's best night tonight.
No.
He did not have a good night tonight.
It was not, and again, it does not mean that he's washed up. It doesn't mean that his career's over. It doesn't mean it's time to sit him for a game.
Even though he hasn't missed one
15 years into whatever the streak is. It doesn't mean that. It just means he had an off night, and that's going to happen. I think that the Flyers, again, they still have two big guns in the holster that have not played much in the last 2 weeks, and I think they're both getting close to coming back. And so, if they come back and this team is still scoring, whatever it is, 1.3 goals in their last 6 games, and they're still scoring like that, then maybe I'm going to start getting a little nervous. But I think that this team has done a pretty good job to this point with what they have, and it's not like again, we've seen this before with other teams in the league. You're not going to come out and just go 110 octane for 82 games. You're going to have ebbs and flows, and right now this is an ebb, especially in terms of offense, but they have been winning games despite it. Yeah. So now it's just a matter of, okay, let's look at what we're doing and figure out how we can start scoring like we were in the first 4 or 5 games again, and take it from there. Yeah, and look, I totally, you read my mind, because it's the point that you make is exactly where I was going to go next, and that's, you can get away with not having some very important players in your lineup for a period of time, but there is a tipping point, and where eventually, like Derek Brassard had a very good start to the season. He's not a second-line center at this point in his career. He has filled in admirably. He stepped up. Justin Braun's done the same in that top pairing, but the reason why you acquired Ryan Ellis is because you need a player of that caliber. And, Chuck Fletcher was on Flyers Daily on today's episode. He said, look, if it was the playoffs, Ryan Ellis and probably Kevin Hayes could go right now. But things have been going well, and you'd rather be cautious at this time of year than really set a guy back a couple of months by pushing too fast, too soon. So, and that's part of it. Some guys are playing in positions that, at this point, that's not what they should be playing. At the same time, Ellis met with the media yesterday, and he alluded to, he didn't say what the injury was, not that we would expect him to, but he alluded to the fact that it's not something that he's had to deal with before. So whatever it is something that Which one of those things that everybody thought he hurt last year, but he didn't?
It was the shoulder.
It was the shoulder. Okay, so
yeah.
I
thought he had surgery.
Yeah.
They didn't even know that he didn't have surgery. It's like I had a cold.
That remains astonishing to me.
That's national media.
That out.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever it is something that he hasn't dealt with before, and so it's a new thing to him. And obviously, at this point in the season, you want to be careful with it, because if you're not, then something happens and now you're out 2 months. I mean, that's not what they want to happen. And it's the same reason that like you said, could Kevin Hayes be playing in the playoffs right now? Maybe, but whatever happened with him when it happened, they wanted to get it taken care of, so he was good for the rest of the season, as opposed to just trying to tough it out for 6 straight months, and then you get to the playoffs and you're exhausted because you've been toughing it out for 6 straight months. Get it done now, and they'll bounce back, and he'll be healthy here from roughly Thanksgiving on, we hope, and get a good run.
Yeah, and that's the key too. And when he comes back, he's not going to come in, I don't think, and be your second line center right away. But is it time for Alain Vigneault? He has been. It's remarkable for a guy that changed the lines and the combinations at the smallest of measurement of wind last year.
Yep.
That he has not done that this year. Is it time maybe to shake up the offensive lines a little bit?
I mean, I think anytime you go through a stretch like this, which again I believe it's 6 games with less than the goal and a half per game. I think anytime you go through a stretch like that, you start to think, all right, do we need a different look here? I mean, you don't just keep going to the well over and over again. This is again a very new bunch of players, and so far the Flyers have really only put them together in more or less one way this season. So by all means, hey, maybe it's time to see what happens if you mix it up a little bit. What happens if you put Farabee up on the top line, or Atkinson up on the top line with Giroux and Couturier? I'm just throwing out names here. I'm not even looking at positions, but just maybe make you don't have to throw everything in a blender, but maybe just swap a couple guys.
No, strategic blender, though.
Yeah, a strategic blender. A little what do you call those bullet things?
The magic bullet.
Yeah, just twist it once.
Yeah, the nuclear or whatever.
You're going down to this is not the greatest stretch anyway. 3 and 4 for the Flyers.
Carolina
in 3 different cities.
Yeah.
They do get an extra hour of sleep, changing time zones Friday and Saturday, but it's not the easiest run. But if you're going to go on the road and have some adversity going against you anyway because of the travel, maybe that's the time to tweak it a little bit and see what happens coming into the homestand next week.
See, I don't believe in that extra hour of sleep stuff.
No,
because you're on your time. Your time is your time. They didn't put an extra hour in the day because they're changing time zone.
I'm just assuming it's worse than or better than nothing, right?
Look, I could use an extra hour every day.
Yeah,
but nobody ever gives me an extra hour. And just because I go to California doesn't mean I get more time.
That's true.
I'm still just tired and grumpy and exhausted anyway.
It's just 5 instead of 8, right? In the morning.
All right, so let me throw my offensive lines at you, and let me see if they pass the Smitty sniff test. Okay. All right, here's my changes, and I'll give you my rationale behind them. So my top line is going to be Sean Couturier in the middle with Claude Giroux. And on the other wing, I'm going to move Cam Atkinson off the second line, and I'm going to move him to the top line.
I like that.
Okay, so that's good. That smells okay. That smells rosy. All right, so line number 2, which was Brassard, Farabee, and Atkinson. Mm-hmm. I'm now going to go with Lawton, Farabee, and I'm going to go with Travis Konechny. Okay, is that a little too not having enough size?
I guess you could look at it that way, but I feel like Scott Lawton a lot of times plays bigger than he is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to put a guy in a situation like that, Lawton might be the guy to do it.
Actually, I changed my mind on that line already. Jeez, the wind blew. So that line, the second line, I'll keep Brassard in the middle, and I would put Oscar Lindblom on one wing, and on the other wing, I would put Travis Konechny.
Now, I like that because that was leading to something that I was going to point out is how do we get Oscar Lindblom going? He is offensively. I mean, he is, by all means, he is giving everything his all, what he's been through the last 2 years. This is not by no means critical of him. But I think he has, he's got an offensive spark that we haven't seen yet this season. So it's just a matter of how do you bring it out for Oscar. And this is not anything you can do in the lineup, but it's not inconsequential. Very good friends with Robert Haig. He's not here anymore. Does that affect anything in the locker room? With Oscar, I don't feel like it should much. But maybe it's there. So I think coming into the season, there maybe has been a bit of an adjustment period for him. And again, we've seen an offensive spark from him on several occasions. And so it's just a matter of, okay, what do we need to do to bring that out? So I like that look as a possibility to do that.
All right, so my second line is Broussard, Oscar, and Konechny. So my third line is Scott Lawton with Joe Farabee and James Van Riemsdyk. And if I recall, a year ago, in a miserable season, that line was pretty darn good at points. Not only that, but Farabee and JVR had tremendous chemistry. You like the third line?
I do like the third line. And it's funny. I've been looking at those top 10 starts in team history, and I guess maybe what I kind of forgot a little bit was that last year the Flyers were off to a better start through 10 games than they were this year.
7-2-1 last year.
And even through 11 games, they were off to a 2-point better start than they were this year.
But you have eyes.
So, yes.
And you knew last year that
it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah, and last year, it was weird because they were coming off a really good season. So we said, they're winning games despite it looking rather ugly. So the reasoning in that was, well, good teams find ways to win when they're not at their best. That's the cliche. And it's true. Mm-hmm. But eventually we found out they were winning despite the fact that they weren't a good team last year in total. This year, and I know the big thing last year was, they were only averaging 23.6 shots per game in their first 10, and they were getting outshot handily. This year, they're actually outshooting the opponents. But if you look at the measurements coming into this game tonight, they've given up the fourth least amount of goals per game, and they are scoring coming into this game, despite the fact that they had 1.3 goals over the previous 5 games, now 6. They are 9th in scoring goals per games played in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, and it's absolutely my fault for trailing off in the middle of that. But what I was kind of getting at was that line combination you threw out there. I seem to recall that combo doing well during that start last year.
Oh, JVR had the best start of his career.
Yeah, so maybe that gets that group going again. It's like I said, it's very rare that you're going to see a team go through an entire season with the same 4 lines over and over again.
And Joe's in a tough spot right now.
Yeah,
too.
Yep. Yeah, he had a great start, and again, I think he may have plateaued a little bit, but with his history, especially, I think we see him powering out of this at some point.
Yeah, he recoiled last year and to end up leading and hot down the stretch and led the team in scoring. All right, so then the fourth line, I'm going to keep Nicolas Aube-Kubel out of the lineup.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep the fourth line intact because, in all honesty, Brian, I don't think they gave up much in the game, and I thought they actually generated some good scoring chances. I thought Nate Thompson was good. I thought Zach McEwen was good. And I thought Patrick Brown was good in the game. And maybe that's part of the problem tonight.
Excuse me, Nate Thompson darn near forced a turnover during one of those third period power plays. Right at the Toronto blue line. He was just relentless on the forecheck. And there were a couple opportunities there where McEwen was 10 bell scoring chances. So I think that you're right. I think they might have generated more scoring chances than a couple of lines above them tonight. But I do like the way that group looks together overall. I think you might be able to kind of interchange Aube-Kubel and Patrick Brown on nights like what we have coming up here, where you got a back-to-back with travel, keep everybody fresh. But after this weekend, the Flyers could come home for 3 straight. So you'll be able to keep the consistency if you want to. But it's a good problem to have, to pick between those guys.
Yeah, and then my deep pairings, I'm going to make the assumption Ryan Ellis comes back for the weekend for Carolina and Dallas. So I'm going to go Ellison Provorov, and I'm going to go Ristolainen and Sanheim, and I'm going to go Yandel and Braun.
Yeah, and I like the look they have now on defense. I like the look they're going to have when people are back on defense. Again, I don't think that the defense was by any means the problem. In fact, I thought the Flyers defense did a very good job of handling Toronto, especially in that first period when they were just a ton of speed and all over everything. I don't mind the Flyers defense, especially at 5-on-5 in this game. It was again the two opportunities where Toronto was able to work free, even though one was not a power play goal. They were both essentially penalty kill situations. So I don't have any fault with the Flyers defense as a whole tonight, and I think once they get back to full health, that's the look to have.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it. That's gonna put a wrap on the post-game show. That was we started out hot, we cooled to a lukewarm, and we walk out of here cold as ice. Right?
It's the way to do it, right? Leave it all on the table.
Well, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna pack up, and I'm gonna get in the truck, and I'm gonna do some breathing exercises, some meditative driving experience, and then when I get home to record tomorrow's Flyers Day, I'll be nice and calm.
Yep. Then just stay off Twitter.
Well, that's part of the problem. See, I put out a solicitation on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Asking for people's biggest concern with this Flyers team.
Okay.
So now I got to go through those and get all agitated again and then not be able to fall asleep. See what I do to myself?
It's a rough life that we live, isn't it?
I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but
again, if there's nothing else to take away from this, it's the fact that the Flyers don't have to wait too long. They're right back at it on Friday. 2 chances to go on the road, grab some points. They've been a decent road team this year. They have to go up against a Carolina team that I'm glad they didn't have to go up against a week ago. I think they might have come back to earth a little bit.
Yeah, they seem to be.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, got to get after it in Carolina, after it in Dallas, and then we're back here for 3 at the Wells Fargo Center next Tuesday. All right, that's going to be a wrap on the postgame show. A few people to thank before we get out of here. Let's start with our in-studio engineer for prodding me and annoying me, and it's always operator error. Pat Egan. Our on-site engineer is Betsy Demon. Who's on highlights tonight, Pat? Dan Fritz on highlights tonight, along with Joe Tuzio. For Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, Brian Smith, and our whole crew here inside the East Food Hall at Wells Fargo Center. Thanks for listening. A Flyers 3-0 defeat against the Toronto Maple Leafs on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Have a good night, everybody.